tissue box.
Yeah, I don't even think it works anymore.
It doesn't.
I never figured out who put it there.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to state for the record that Councilman Dufresne will not be here this evening. At this time, I'd like to ask Madam Mayor to be front and center to swear in our junior council member, Jonas Hausman.
That way you know what I'm going to say and you can read it with me. All right, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jonas Hausman,
I, Jonas Hausman,
do solemnly pledge
do solemnly pledge
that I accept the position of Emmaus Borough Junior Councilperson
that I do solemnly accept the position of Emmaus Borough Junior Councilperson.
I promise to attend monthly council meetings,
I promise to attend monthly council meetings,
observe Borough Council meeting rules,
observe Borough Council meeting rules,
and actively participate in borough business.
and actively participate in borough business.
I understand that I cannot vote on any issue and I cannot attend executive sessions.
I understand that I cannot vote on any issue and I cannot attend executive sessions.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sign on that line right there.
You want to get a photo?
Yeah, probably.
You want the family up?
I gotta be
I'd like to invite the family up and we'll
Sign
get
this
a
one
we'll
for
get a
your
photo.
records as well.
Thank you.
And then I'll sign both of
So my
them.
brother's like, no, bro.
That's all right, take your time. Nothing to be nervous about, we don't bite.
They said,
That's for you. Thank you. Have that.
shine down.
Lee, you want to be in the photo with them?
Oh, sure. Where do you want us? Oh, where are we going?
Just Jonas, you and the family.
Well, why don't you come in? As council president. You don't need me then. You can do it.
Wait a minute. Swarm in, get in here.
Thank you. Sure.
I remember that. And they don't come anymore.
Good. Take your seat.
All right, moving on to personal appeals, part one. If you have a personal appeal, please approach the podium, state your name and where you're from, and sign in. Hearing none. Community minute, does anyone have anything to bring forward?
Snowblast Winter Arts Festival is February 2nd, Saturday from noon to 7 p.m. It's a little bit different this year, lots of new stuff going on in the stores. Ice Princess will be there, Extreme Chainsaw Sculptor. Fire Nouveau is doing a fire performance, and photo contest, art show, so hopefully everybody will come out and join us for a great day.
Thank you.
And just a quick reminder that it is Girl Scout cookie season. There are Girl Scouts out and about in town selling cookies. Usually on the weekends, you'll see them at various locations, so support your local Girl Scouts.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, hearing none. At this time, we'll have a special presentation by the Shade Tree Commission to present their Shade Tree plan. I'd like to call forward Doug Hall and Reds Bailey from the Shade Tree Commission. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. I'm Reds Bailey from the Emmaus Shade Tree Commission. And start off by saying I love trees. So much so that I've been working for them and in the business for over 40 years. And about 20 years ago, I decided, after complaining about the state of trees in Emmaus, that maybe the classic, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So I got involved with the Shade Tree Commission. I'm here with our other members, Doug Hall, Dusty Springer. Becky Strauss is not here with us tonight yet. We're here to present a comprehensive plan for the maintenance and replacement of trees in Emmaus. In addition to dealing with a variety of shade tree issues, Commission has spent a number of years rewriting the Borough Shade Tree Ordinance. Finally, that is over. And now that we've finished that, we're ready to move forward with our new street tree plan, which is needed for a number of reasons, but also in order to get and apply for grant money. Members of the commission are all volunteers, all committed to the notion that our street trees provide numerous benefits to the borough, some that are very obvious and others that are not. We've provided handout literature that describes many of these benefits, as well as pictures of what one of our neighboring communities has done for their streetscapes. At this point, I'd like to introduce Doug Hall, who has tirelessly walked our streets and has gone to a lot of effort to put this street tree plan together. Doug?
Thank you, Reds. And Reds, I can't believe it's 20 years already that you served on the Shade Tree Commission. That's awesome.
I'm Doug Hall. I've been on the Shade Tree Commission. I can't compete with Reds just since 2010. Like Red said, he had Kathy put into your meeting packet some information about the benefits of trees. I really hope that we're preaching to the choir by providing that information, because I would really like to believe that all of you are completely aware of all of the contributions toward our quality of life that are made by street trees. But just in case, I've prepared a list of my own. And what I did was gather a bit of research that deals specifically with the benefits of trees as they pertain to business districts. So I'd like to just take a minute and run through this list of some of the benefits that we can expect from maintaining street trees in our downtown commercial district. These are all, I won't go into any detail about who conducted the surveys, but they're all legitimate scientific studies, not just anecdotal information. First, studies have shown that shoppers are willing to drive further to reach a business district having trees. Once there, they are likely to spend more time in the business district and are more likely to stroll from business to business. One study showed an increase of up to 12% in spending on goods and services in business districts with trees. Estimates from realtors show that street trees increase property values in both residential and commercial neighborhoods. One study showed that in downtown neighborhoods, as the number of street trees increased, crime decreased. Tree-lined streets have a calming effect on traffic. Drivers slow down, resulting in greater safety for both motorists and pedestrians. Aesthetic benefits are harder to quantify, so I'll just say that trees beautify commercial districts and enhance the shopping experience. There's also a good historic reason for us to maintain the street trees in Emmaus. If you look at historic photographs of Emmaus, you'll notice that Main Street and Chestnut Street have always been tree-lined. So by maintaining this border of trees along our two main thoroughfares, we are honoring our community's history. Finally, trees are one of the reasons why the downtown triangle is a popular gathering spot and why it was recently designated a great public space by the Pennsylvania chapter of the American Planning Association. So I hope we're all in agreement. Trees are good. Emmaus's investment in trees will be rewarded. So the tree plan, I believe it should be in your information packet for the evening. It's titled Recommended Street Trees. It is something that the Shade Tree Ordinance, which was revised in 2006, it requires the Shade Tree Commission to compile. the Shade Tree Commission is to create an inventory of existing downtown street trees and to provide a plan for future replacement of those trees as needed. We've been working on this plan now pretty much throughout 2018. It's gone through a lot of revisions. We've talked with tree experts. We've talked with the city foresters in other communities. We've looked at what our neighboring communities are planting in their downtowns. We've looked at what's working, and we've also looked at what's not working. And we've tried to learn from all of this and incorporate it into our own plan. And that's what we have presented to you tonight. We feel like it's at the point now where it's ready for the Borough Council to weigh in on. It covers 184 planting pockets or tree wells that are curbside cutouts in the sidewalk for planting trees. They extend along Chestnut and Main Street, between the public library at one end and CVS Pharmacy at the other end. It's about 8 blocks long, 184 tree wells. Most of those currently do have trees in them. A few do not. I will be the first to admit that some of the trees in Emmaus, I feel like if I don't admit this, one of you is going to point it out. We've had some problems with some of our trees. A few of them have begun to lift pavement, lift sidewalks, crack sidewalks. Some of them have grown so tall that they're in the PPL high voltage lines, and when that happens, of course, PPL comes in and whacks them back. The Bradford pears have a very annoying habit of dropping fruit on the sidewalk. I just want to make sure you understand that all of these issues, all of these problems that we've had with some of our trees result from poor choices. Emmaus planted the wrong trees. The problems we have now are the result of some of those poor choices in the past. Going forward, we can do much better. So on page 7 of the plan of the recommended street trees, you'll see there is a list of trees to be phased out. These are the troublemakers. These trees we will, as they are removed, we will not be replanting with the same species. You'll also see another list there that is the recommended list for replacement trees. In general, these trees are smaller in stature. They do not have aggressive root systems. They will not lift pavement, they will not crack sidewalks, they will not drop fruit. Going forward, we will, our streetscape will be improving as we gradually implement the plan. It's not a project that will be taken on all at once. In fact, I would imagine it'll take maybe 2 or 3 decades to implement entirely, because many, many of our trees are healthy and they're in good condition, they're not causing any problems. We want to keep those trees as long as we possibly can. But there are a few trees that have started to age out. Some of the Bradford pears in particular have reached really the end of their useful lifespan. One by one, individually, we will be making the call for when a tree needs to be replaced. And having this plan in place then gives us the blueprint to go forward with. So we know we can proceed then with sort of a unified plan for implementing a new streetscape. The last 5 pages of the plan, pages 10 through 14, are maps. The maps show the 184 tree wells. There's every black dot on those maps represents one of the tree wells. Each black dot has a number next to it. The numbers refer to the street number of the property where the tree well is located. A few properties have more than a single tree well, and that's where we get into ABC. For example, at the Lutheran Church, there are 5 street trees. The Lutheran Church is 501 Chestnut Street, so on the map that corresponds to 5th Street, that would be page 13. You'll see 501A through 501E. Those are the 5.
So
five
Doug,
streets.
and I apologize for interrupting, but
That's okay.
I think
The map didn't.
it didn't
have
scan
them out.
in well for them. So
Oh,
the
okay.
black dots, and that's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's a scanning issue. The black dots didn't show up on your scan. So what we'll do is we'll rescan tomorrow and email that to
Okay.
council, so that way you understand what he's talking about there. But you can see kind of where some of those black dots were supposed to be. It just didn't. Looks like it was just a bad scan. So.
Yeah, you try scanning it.
Yeah, I can provide like a PDF.
So Kathy,
Kathy, I think, has a PDF.
Yeah, we'll send that back out to you,
Okay.
with the maps on it.
Well, otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. Pages 2 through 6 is the inventory list, and I hope you're able to see that. It's divided into 3 columns, and the column on the left is the street address of each individual tree well. In the middle column is the current tree that is in existence at that spot, and then in the right-hand column is the tree that we're recommending as a replacement tree, if and when a replacement is needed. That's it, in a nutshell. If anyone has any questions about any of this, I'd be happy to
Councilmember
answer.
Anders?
Okay, just, first, thank you, both you and Reds. You do a lot of hard work, and, you know, it makes the town look good. My question is with insects now, with the spanner lanternfly, the types of trees that we would plant, how are they around like that, if those things stay around, you know?
That's a really good question, and that's a question that came up in Terry's committee meeting. The honest answer is we do not know 100% what, because the spotted lanternfly is such a new pest, we
Right.
don't know exactly how it's going to affect every species. What I can say is that spotted lanternfly is in and around Emmaus, and I have not seen any particular damage on any of our street trees.
Okay.
I don't know any of the trees on our recommended list to be especially prone to attracting spotted lanternflies. In general, the trees that we have chosen have shown themselves to be pretty sturdy trees and problem-free.
Okay.
But
That was just I was just
Well,
kind of curious. It was just something that, you know, it's a hot topic, obviously, right now. with
very
that.
much so, yeah. And it's something that we are going to have to observe going forward. We'll have to be aware of
Okay,
that going forward.
thank you.
Anybody else? I have a couple questions, and I want to just mention that Beverly Springer from the Shade Tree Commission is also here, so. I'd like to thank the Shade Tree Commission. I know this took a lot of time. Just taking the inventory alone took a lot of time, and then your research into what you want to put in and different situations. One question I have on your cover letter of the plant recommended street trees, it says that you want to put the trees in by block by species. And I was always told that you don't want to do it that way because if for some reason a disease hits a tree, you're going to wipe out a whole block, that you should actually stagger those. And I would prefer to see us stagger those trees throughout the borough. And I think we've been doing that over the last 8 years or so. Not that we planted a lot, but I know the new trees that were recommended, or the latest ones before this, they were being staggered. So I don't know if that's going to be taken into consideration or not, instead of doing a whole species in one block. I just was always told that you don't want to do that because if you lose them, you're going to lose them all in one block.
Right. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think there is definitely a good argument in the case of diversity.
Okay.
And if you, let's see, on one page, I do have a head count of the existing trees versus going forward. It's on page 6. We really have way too many of 2 species, the honey locust and the Bradford pear
Right.
currently. You'll notice that after all the trees have been replaced, the largest number of trees would be that trident maple, which is really a pretty tough little tree that,
Okay.
to my knowledge, has not shown a lot of problems. Again, that does not guarantee that some imported insect or disease might show up in the future to cause a problem. Whether or not it's going to be, you know, the issue with a disease spreading down a block usually means the trees have linked roots underground, and that's how they're transmitting the disease. In our little tree wells, I really doubt that's
Yeah,
happening.
okay. I'll defer to
It's
you.
a
I'm just
valid
saying that's
point.
what I heard, that's
It's a
all.
valid point, and I'm glad you're thinking in terms of diversity, because.
And then my last question is, if everyone would go to, and hit the tab for tree grates, there's only one page, East Greenville. I know they're very, very expensive.
They are.
But looking at that picture, as the tree grows, what happens when it gets bigger than the grate? Do the rings of the grate remove?
You have to.
Because I'm looking at this and it doesn't look like it does, but I'm
Yes,
I'm
you do
assuming
have
that's how it
to-
works?
Or you do have to either replace that grate with a grate that has a larger opening, or you cut into the metal. Some tree grates are cast with concentric rings, so it becomes easy to sort of break out rings as the tree grows.
And as you know, we haven't done grates in the past because they are very
They're so
expensive, and we've been
expensive,
doing
yes.
mulch, and that creates a whole other problem, but
There is one of the photos there that intrigued me, and that is one that shows some like Belgian blocks covering, it's a fairly long but narrow tree well of exposed soil, but they have filled most of it with Belgian blocks. Well, the Belgian blocks allow for those tree roots to breathe and for water to infiltrate, so you're getting the benefit of a very large tree well, and yet those Belgian blocks are giving you a solid surface too, and one that's not gonna wash out in a rainstorm like the mulch does.
is that the stuff that kind of looks like styrofoam or a spongy type thing?
No, it's granite.
It's what?
Granite.
Oh, okay.
A Belgian block is just like a rectangular block of
Sounds like a
granite.
paving block.
All right. Thank you. That's all I had.
A paving stone, yeah.
Anybody else? Well, thank you very much, guys.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your presentation and all the work you put into this.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the reading of the minutes. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the January 7th, 2019 council meeting minutes? Councilwoman Baumgartner, seconded by Councilman Anders. Any questions or additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. Decisions on bids. We have the lawn mowing and trimming services was bid out, and we have the results. And it's a recommendation, and it was also voted on by General Administration Committee by a 3-0 vote to recommend it. Is it Stillwater, right?
All year.
All Year. To recommend All Year Incorporated for a 3-year contract. And the way it was bid out was piecemeal per
Hey,
se.
you want me to go over a little bit?
Yeah, I'll let Shane explain it.
So, first and foremost, we had 3 bids, which is 2 more than, that's 2 more than what we've gotten in the last decade, so. But one of the things that we did was, as Mr. Labenberg alluded to, is we itemized each piece of property. And a couple reasons for that. I think the biggest reason was because if we decide that we want to delete a property that is being mowed, for some reason, we think that we can do it in-house, or we feel that, that's not a property that we should be paying to maintain as a borough, then the clause in the contract states that we would need to make that decision at the beginning of the year, and we can take that piece out. The other nice thing about it is it also shows you what it's costing, what it costs to maintain each individual property. So because you see the bid as a whole, but just know that you can also back out whatever properties you don't want to be part of it. I'm not suggesting that we add to our mowing schedule for our Public Works Department. If that was the case, then there would need to be some upgrades to equipment. But if there are 1 or 2 properties in there that you wanted to take a look at, obviously that can be that can be discussed, made feasible. But that's how we put the bid out, and I think it was definitely worthwhile to change it up that way. You see that the 3 bids were relatively close. All Year Incorporated, which is the firm that has won that bid each of the last 3 times, I believe, is once again the lowest bidder. And so our recommendation at committee was to award the bid to All Year Inc. For a 3-year contract. Do you want to take over?
And Shane, what was it? We said it was an increase from 48,000, was
From
it?
50.
50?
About 50,500, I think was the
So
budget.
first year, it's an increase of about $4,000 then.
Yeah, and again, that first year, I think maybe what we should do is refer to Parks and Recreation Committee and take a look at what we put in there, because I know we added at least 1 property on the bid schedule, and that was the municipal complex at
Right,
33 East Minor.
they can discuss that.
So we can back that down a a little bit, probably a couple $1,000 if we want Public Works to continue to maintain that. But for now, I would ask that you award the bid as presented,
Okay.
which is $54,631.29 in 2019, $55,161.57 in 2020, and $55,696.71 in 2021.
All right, is there a motion to approve all year incorporated? Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any questions or discussion? Councilman Anders?
Shane, what is the mowing season? I'm just trying to remember. Is it March through
It's March through October. Actually, March into November.
into November?
Yeah,
Okay.
into November.
Okay. I just-
So, and it's based on the number of times that it's mowed as well.
Right, so do we
So if all the grass
stipulate
dies in
how
August, which wasn't the case last year, you almost had to mow 3 times a week.
many- Right,
But if all the grass dies in August and they don't have to mow,
right.
then
But we have it in there how many times they
Yes.
do mow at a certain location.
yes.
Thank you.
And maintain like stream banks at the park. And we have that written in there that it's like once a month that they have to trim the bank back and things like that.
Right, okay, thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. All right, moving on to communications. We received a letter from the Emmaus Veterans Committee with regards to the Memorial Day Parade and banner fee waiver. We'll send that to staff. Ashley Laura from the Emmaus Main Street Program has a date of March 23rd for the soup crawl event, and we'll send that to staff. Ashley Laura also sent a request banner fee waiver for the East Penn Chamber Restaurant Week. That will go to staff.
Did we do that last year?
No, I think that's probably one you're gonna need to,
All right, so that will go to GA or community development.
probably CRD. I would,
Yeah, they have time. It's March 3rd. So, well,
Yeah.
when do they want to hang it though?
well, I mean, again, we can still hang it, and then if they have to pay for it, they have to
Okay,
pay for it. If
that's fine.
We waive it, we waive it.
So we'll send it to CRD then. Jill Goetz, is it? Or Getz?
Gets.
Getz, okay. Jill Getz is requesting appointment to the Emmaus Arts Commission. I saw in the committee meeting notes that she was interviewed, so I'll turn that over to the chairman to bring that up for a vote. Chairwoman, I'm sorry.
So I'd like to make a motion to appoint Jill Getz to the Emmaus Arts Commission, and I believe her term would be February 1st, 2022?
Yes, I
Actually-
just I'm looking at it now.
Okay.
That's correct.
I'm in the wrong screen. but-
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Hart. Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. Also received a letter from Doug Cornish, head coach from the Emmaus Aquatic Club, requesting to rent community park pool. This is a yearly event, so staff will take care of that. John Fernbacher is resigning from the Community Garden Commission, which was just newly formed. We'll send a letter of thank you. And Rochelle Romeo is requesting the Funk 5 Miler event again, June 8th, 2019. That's a yearly event, so staff will take care of that. And then we received a letter from Sergeant Todd Garloff, letter of resignation, and I will read that since he's been with us for a long time. Please, gentlemen,
I'll talk to him about that.
you'll school him, right? All right. Please accept this letter as my formal notification of retirement from the Emmaus Police Department as of the completion of my shift, April 30th, 2019. I will forever be grateful for the opportunity to serve the borough of Emmaus. It was truly an honor working for a community that I had the pleasure in growing up in. I am requesting payment of accrued drop monies and any other contractual benefits as agreed upon in the EPOA collective bargaining agreement. So if anyone sees Todd, wish him the best of luck before April 30th and in his retirement from the police department, and wish him the best of luck in whatever endeavors he will go into next, because he is still very young. So, anybody else have a letter of communication to bring forward? Hearing none. Borough Engineers report, we have nothing. Solicitors report.
Hi, how are you tonight, Ben? I have just one item to raise, and that is the Mascaro appeal. If one is to be taken from the preliminary injunction hearing, we'd probably be looking for it, if not January 25, then probably Monday of the following week. So we should know very soon whether or not there's any kind of an appeal from that decision. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that people have.
Any questions for the solicitor? All right, hearing none. Progress?
Yes.
Thank you. Unfinished business, part one. We have the second reading of ordinance 1185, an ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, requiring testing, inspection, repair, and replacement of building sewers and sewer laterals and providing for remedies and penalties for non-compliance. We had our first reading back in December 17th of 2018. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1185? Councilman Schubsta, second by Councilman Anders. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote. Councilwoman McManaman.
Aye.
Councilman Schubsta.
Aye.
Councilman Anders.
Aye.
Councilman Hart.
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner.
Aye.
Councilman Ladenburg. Aye. There are 6 ayes. We have no new business, no unfinished business, part 2. Does anybody have an item to bring forward that's not on the agenda? Hearing none? Mayor's report.
Progress.
Thank you. Moving on to committee reports. Public Works Committee, Chairman Anders.
Nothing for official action this evening. There's just a few things in the notes. One, of course, the shade tree, which was here earlier, that we discussed. And we discussed, as you'll see in the notes, we talked about the project guidelines for this year with Mr. Dyshalla. But beyond that, I'll report progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee, Chairman Schubsta.
The Canals Homestead has submitted a letter here with a fence permit. I'd like to move that to our next meeting, if that's possible, and we could discuss it at the committee level. And our next meeting is scheduled for January 30th at 4:30 PM in council chambers. Progress.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee, Chairwoman Baumgartner.
We have one item for official action, and that's approval of the Monkey Knife Fight bike ride. So I'll put that in form of a motion. This event is to take place April 6th. You can see in the committee meeting notes that we discussed it during committee, and he addressed a lot of our questions. And this is a 65-mile bike ride with the anticipation of about 300 riders. So
There's a motion by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Is there a second? Councilman Anders. Any questions or discussion?
I just a note that, listening to the event, it seems very well organized. It'll bring more people to town, to the park, and I look forward to having that event here, hopefully for future.
yeah, he's hoping to make it an annual event. So
That's great.
that would be great.
We like those things.
Yeah.
And they've had a similar event for several years now, and they've raised, what did they say, like $18,000 last year or something like that
Yes,
for
looking now.
charity? It was a big number. It was
18,000,
impressive.
Yep.
18,000. All right. Anybody else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes.
Other than that, again, the meeting notes are attached, and our next meeting will be February 5th at 4:30.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairman Dufresne is not here. Does somebody have anything to report in his absence? Councilman Hart or Councilwoman Baumgartner, anything? Did you have it?
Sure. There's nothing for official action. You can see in the committee notes a summary of what we discussed. Just looking through to see if there's anything that I'm forgetting. Our next meeting will be February 13th at 9:15.
Thank you. General Administration Committee, it's myself. We already addressed ordinance 1185. Resolution 2019, disposal of municipal bonds. I will read the resolution. Records. A resolution in accordance with the Municipal Records Act of January 18, 1968, PL 961, number 428, as approved for local government records by the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission Bureau of Archives and History, as approved by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on December 18, 2008, and amended July 23, 2009, authorizing the Borough of Emmaus to dispose of certain municipal records. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2019-6? Councilman Anders, seconded by Councilwoman McManaman. Any questions on this discussion?
Is this cleaning out the basement still, Shane?
It's, yeah, so we are making a concerted effort that we part ways with
With some,
these old files. So
Yeah.
this actually, a lot of this information is coming out of the safe
okay.
upstairs.
Upstairs.
We have records everywhere, so.
Okay.
Anyone else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. We have Resolution 2019-7, volunteer appointments. The resolution is as follows: a resolution of the Council of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, reaffirming all volunteers previously appointed for the year 2019. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2019-7? Councilman Schubser, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. Fuels at Indian Creek security reduction request. I will turn this over to the solicitor.
Sure. This is a request to reduce the security. What happens is when a developer has an approval and proceeds to build or to construct the development and wants to record the plan while the developer is in the process of building that development, which also allows the developer to sell lots. As the public improvements are completed, the security that is posted for completion of the public improvements is accordingly reduced by the amount of the work that's been performed. So this is a security request. There are timeframes under the municipality's planning code. Usually goes to the engineer, as it did here, for approval. The engineer recommends the dollar amount of the security to be released, which then generally reflects the amount of work that still remains to be performed on that part of the project, together with an appropriate amount of retainage, which I think is 15% generally across the board. So it's approved by the engineer. It doesn't appear to be any reason to reject that request.
So the reduction would be a reduction of the amount of $257,027.09.
Shane, that's just basically how the escrow.
What it actually is, what it is Roy, they post a letter of credit.
Right.
So that letter of credit, the amount of the letter of credit gets reduced. So it's just a smaller amount of credit, and the letter of credit is kind of like a bond.
Okay.
So it's not actually cash.
It's held at their bank.
Okay.
Anybody else? So is there a motion to approve the Fields at Indian Creek security reduction request?
I think John had something he wanted.
Oh,
No, it looked like you were raising your hand.
Oh, motion.
Councilwoman McManaman, seconded by
Second.
Oh, okay.
Councilman Hart. Questions or any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. All right, we put a request for proposal out for an engineer. It's a 7-page document in your iPad. Would somebody like to make a motion to, is it bid it out, I guess?
Approve the RFP.
To approve the engineer RFP. Councilman Anders, Councilwoman, second by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any questions on the RFP? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. And you can read our committee meeting notes from our January 17th meeting, and our next meeting is February 14th, Valentine's Day. Who picked that date?
You.
All right, I report progress. Budget and Finance Committee, Chairman Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is one official item for action, Resolution 2019-4, the bill list through the 21st of this month. I'll put that in the motion.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second? Councilman Schubsta, any questions or on the bill list? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes.
The committee meeting notes are included in your packet from January 7th, and our next meeting is February 4th. I report progress.
Thank you. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee, Chairwoman McManaman.
Yes, thank you. We have a few items for action this evening. First, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Hausman. CRD is very excited in this appointment, and we're looking forward to working with you. Excited to hear about your project ideas. The next thing, thanks to Mr. Holland and Mr. Bailey from the Shade Tree Commission for their extensive work and plan, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Shade Tree Commission's replacement and recommended street.
There's a motion by Councilwoman McManaman. Is there a second? Councilwoman Baumgartner, questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes.
The next item for discussion is the Emmaus Farmers Market move. As everyone knows, since the announcement was made that Santander Bank, or BB&T Bank, which is the property is owned by Santander Bank, is closing, the farmers market has been proactive in looking for another space. So at committee level, we've all discussed the pros and cons and very exciting opportunity for us to have the farmers market move to Emmaus Triangle. So a couple things bear repeating. This could be the single biggest impact that we can make on our retail community downtown. If they take advantage of it, we know that it will create a lot of additional people downtown. We are hoping that statistics show for Emmaus, just the way they are across the country, there's 9,000 farmers markets. The most successful are within a downtown center. So I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve the Emmaus Farmers Market to be housed on Triangle Park, South 4th Street, and Main Street Artery, contingent upon finishing some logistical details that we need to go through at the committee level.
There's a motion by Councilwoman McManaman. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Hart. Questions or discussion? Councilman Anders.
So, one question I have, I know it'll be closed off here. Is there any concern with the traffic that goes, say, to the Merck on a Sunday morning and down that way? The road it'll be closed up here, but they can still come in and park and have room down there?
Right, and I believe Mayor had talked to Mercantile Club directly
have not.
about. Oh, you had
I have
not.
not had the opportunity
So
to.
there is a parking lot there, and so the street parking, it won't be an issue. They can also go into, as you said, the next street over.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be a problem.
They can enter 5th Street and exit
Down
5th Street.
Down by West.
And from what I understand, they're able to park at the Triple Sun parking, and Yergis parking lot there.
And I'm sorry,
Okay.
Mayor, I thought you spoke to them directly, so
No,
I
no.
apologize.
That
for
was one of
misspeaking.
my only questions was, I know they get a crowd there on a Sunday
The only
morning.
thing I know of that will have to be worked out is the alley that comes out onto 4th Street is one way going onto 4th Street. How that's going to affect those neighbors there, and we have to figure that out.
One way west.
Well, then, no, it's still
Yeah,
an
it's
issue
going-
because they can't get in, but I have it going the wrong way. Okay.
One way west, so there's no.
Okay.
So we have
So
to,
once they're in.
maybe for those 4 hours, they're allowed to go, make it one way going the other way or something, I don't know. Or no, they have to be able to go in and out, so we'll have to figure that out, all right? Other than that, anybody else?
And I guess as we close it, the barriers and all that, that's be worked out as who's putting them up and who's responsible for it.
It's part of the logistic details that we need to work out, yeah.
Okay, just
I mean, there are some safety,
throwing things, right?
some safety things that we've been discussing with our department managers as well.
Right. Okay, was just
All
my
right.
couple thoughts, I think.
Councilman Hart.
As to my understanding, this would include a kickoff of the winter version of this, which would not include closing down 4th Street
That's correct.
until May, which
That would be-
be the time we would close down 4th Street. Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I was wondering.
All right.
Okay, good.
Anybody else? All right, everyone, are those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. There are 6 ayes.
Our committee meeting minutes are attached from January 17th. Our next committee meeting is February 21st, and I will report progress.
Thank you. All right, that leads us to junior council members' report. Junior Councilman Hausman, I don't know if you're prepared to make a report, but if you're not, you can make a statement
ready.
or say something.
Yeah, he's ready.
Oh,
He's
so
been-
somebody gave you a heads up.
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
been prepping for this.
It's an honor to be here. I'm very grateful to be seated here with everybody. And this week is the start of midterms for high schoolers. That's all I have.
That's it? Okay. So when you finish, you can say progress, then we know you're finished.
Okay, thank you.
So say progress.
Progress.
We're good. Thank you, Junior Councilman Hausman.
And good luck on your midterms.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I don't miss those at all. All right, boards and commission meeting minutes, you have 6 different sets there to keep you updated. Personal appeals part 2, does anyone have a personal appeal to bring forward? Hearing none. Borough Manager's report.
Your significant revenue and expense items for the first half of January are in your iPads. As Mr. Hart alluded to at some point today, it might have been even in the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, 10th Street Culvert was supposed to be open Thursday, apparently it's not. But you saw in December a bill that we paid for at the beginning of January for the culvert itself. That's $142,000. That's for the concrete in and of itself. You have a $200,000 bill in your bill list that you approved today. That was from the actual contractor doing the construction work. So that will be the majority of the payment. There will be a third bill coming from him after everything is concluded and approved, and that'll conclude the project. Why it's not open, I don't know. Last I knew, it was going to be the end of the day Thursday because of some fence issues. Apparently, those fence issues aren't done, or we're just keeping it closed for fun. Nonetheless, I will find out tomorrow and I will let you know. But as far as I knew, I've been out of town since Friday morning. But
Maybe.
as far as I knew, it was supposed to be open Thursday night.
Shane, I think they're waiting for us to schedule a ribbon cutting. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not.
Get
I'm
the
not,
hard hats out.
I'm not sure. I am disappointed though because it was supposed to be
Are the numbers
open
within
Thursday.
budget?
Yeah, there were no change orders.
Okay.
There were no change orders to the project, so the numbers are exactly what we were quoted at, which
Good.
is a positive at least.
Yeah.
It's always nice to know that a project comes in exactly what it was planned for, because that doesn't normally happen. So nonetheless, you see that in your expense items, and it will be open before the end of this year, I can assure you that. I don't know about the end of the month, but I can tell you by the end of the year. No, it should be. There might have been a back order on a fence or something, but I really don't know why it didn't open Thursday. Sean Peichel has been an EMT of ours for a short amount of time. He has graduated paramedic school, and we have hired Sean as a part-time paramedic. Very excited about that. He'll be getting paid $23.44 an hour. Same thing with Keatley Hamill. She has been an EMT for several years of ours, and Keatley has just graduated from paramedic school as well. It's exciting to see our young ambulance employees expanding their careers and having the drive to become paramedics. The bad news of that, of course, is we lost 2 EMTs. The good news is we have 2 qualified paramedics that we've seen grow. So we're happy about both of them. We're very proud to have them as part of our staff, and are excited to see them continue, their careers with us. Outside of that, I will entertain any questions you have.
Just the one, the update on the convenience store not to be named.
Yes, and I apologize. That was on my list. I'm glad that you asked. Actually, it is allowed to be named.
Okay.
Wawa. Wawa will be on your agenda for you to debate and receive their presentation and to vote on February 4th. So that will be on your council agenda February 4th. You will have the packet of information well in advance. There are a lot of waivers and conditions, which is typical on a, I wouldn't say there's a lot of waivers. There's very few waivers, and most of them are typical waivers. But the conditional approval recommendation from the planning commission, there are a lot of conditions, okay? They have to meet all these different conditions for them to actually be able to do the project. So you're gonna need time to read that. So I will try to get that information out to you as soon as possible. Our solicitor sent the resolution and attachments to me today. So I will review that, and I will send that out to you hopefully tomorrow. And that'll give you enough time to review this. I will try to get a digital download of the plan as well and get it over to you. If I can't get that, I will make them give me 10 paper copies of the plan, which I do not have in my possession. But I think that you need to see what the plan looks like, because they've made a lot of changes. There's a lot of plans, a lot of proposed items that you need to see on a drawing in front of you in order for you to make an educated vote
This
on
would
it.
be one time I would ask for a hard copy.
And that's fine. If you guys want hard copies, I will tell the developer I need.
Too small in the digital.
I will tell the developer I need 10 hard copies.
They're like this thick.
That's.
There's
Yeah,
like,
just so
there's
you're-
like 25 pages.
Yeah, I'd
Now,
rather
if
for
you
this.
just want like page 2 or page 3, which is essentially
Yeah, that's the
the
one.
main, if you don't care about the engineer stuff, like the light plan, the grading plan,
Yeah.
the yada, yada,
No,
yada,
no,
yada,
yeah.
quite honestly, I only look at page 2,
I want the juice, but not.
because that's all I understand,
Yeah.
is page 2. The rest of it's above my understanding.
A good plan too, Shane, is that easement plan, the subdivision plan, and there's an easement plan in there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to give them, well, we'll also have to give them the, because you're gonna be voting on 2 different things. A
plans.
subdivision and a land development. So, because they're buying the property from Altman.
Yeah.
So you would have to approve that piece, and then you'd have to approve the land development of that piece of property separately. So, I'll have to give you more than 1 page. But, like I said, the stack on my desk is
Yeah, I
5
mean,
inches
it-
thick. I'm
yeah,
not sure you want, if you want all of that, I'll tell them they have to give it to me. If you just want the short and easy, couple pages.
How about
we'll
the
get that
paper
to you.
one of that, and then if you can get the digital of the others, then we'll just have the digital of the others.
Sure.
That's good. Compromise.
So digital of all,
And Shane, I just want to point out, in the general administration committee, we did look at the plans, and every safety concern that this council brought up was addressed. So you'll see that when you look at it, everything. So we were happy to see all that. Progress?
yeah, unless you have anything else for me. Thank you, Mr. Andrews, for reminding me, because that was on my things to discuss here.
All right, under president's business, how many people are happy that the first 2 major storms went south of us and the last major storm went north of us? You pretty happy about that? I am.
I think our public works
No,
is.
you just doomed us.
All I know is the days are getting longer now, so. With that being said, is there a motion to adjourn? Councilwoman McManaman, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgardner. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. Meeting adjourned at 7:55.